Hey everyone, I'm Aaron from Thinking Languages, as most of you know. Um, Last week we did a fairly multilingual live stream. For those of you who don't know, I do live streams every Friday at 10:30 a.m. Central Standard Time. I get a lot of people who don't know that, so they always miss my streams and they always say, "Hey, I wanted to watch your stream, but I missed it." So now you know, 10:30 a.m. Central Standard Time. 11:30 a.m. Eastern Time. Anyways, last week we did a fairly multilingual live stream. I usually try to uh, speak as many languages as I can in my live streams, but it almost inevitably ends up being just English. So this week, last week we did a pretty good job of staying in other languages. This week I decided what we would do is read a story that's been translated into a few different languages. And if you've been following my live streams the last month or so, we've been doing a lot of translations of stories, and that comes out of me just really enjoying being able to read stories in my target languages. Right. By the way, let me know if you guys can all hear me pretty well. Having some new settings on my microphone this week. But anyways, you know me. One of the things I love to do in order to learn languages is comprehensible input. That's reading stories. So this story that we're going to read today is it's an intermediate story, and it's been translated so far into 4 different languages: English, Spanish, French, and Portuguese. And so we're just going to go through the story, and I'm going to ask you guys' opinion on it. This is it's called the Open Source Language Project, meaning it's not up to me to just dictate everything. I want to hear what you guys think. I want to... Ocean Breeze says, yeah, we can hear you. And Dueling Champ says, we can hear you loud and clear. Good, excellent. I'm glad to hear that. Yeah, and so I want you guys' input. I want you guys' help. This is not just me putting out stories and then telling you to translate them. We can edit these stories. We can change them. We can make them really beneficial for language learners. So with that said, let's get into some of these stories. I'll read it first in English and then in a few other languages. So I'm going to share my screen with you here. Whoa, it's like infinite regression. Okay, so first of all, if you don't know, this is where you can find all of the stories in our open source lesson project. Okay, the link is in the description of this video itself, and you can either click here or click on here to just see all of the videos, and then you click there, and it'll take not all of the videos, all of the stories, and then it'll take you to all these different languages. Click on English and then intermediate, and that's going to bring you to After It Came. Like I said, this story has been translated into English. Well, it was written in English, Spanish, French, and Portuguese so far. One language that I would love to have this in is Esperanto. Unfortunately, we don't have a translation of it in Esperanto yet, but if someone's watching and if you feel inspired, like you could translate this story into Esperanto, I would be very appreciative of that. The other thing that I thought would be cool is if we added some images to the story, like maybe just 1 or 2 images, just to give it a little bit of flavor, and sort of helping comprehension so people can visualize what they're reading. I'm going to try to keep coming back here and looking at comments. Hola, Daniela Coronada. Gracias por venir. Okay. Here's After It Came part 1. So I actually have an audio recording of the video itself. Of the story itself, so that you can listen to the story as it's read, as you read it. But I think for the purposes of this live stream, I'm just going to read the stories myself. I might play one of the audio recordings of it, just to kind of show you what it's like. But anyways, another thing that I wanted to ask you guys is, as we read through this story, can you come up with any good comprehension questions? I'm going to put this in the chat just so people know. Can you think of any good comprehension questions? Okay. Can you think of any good comprehension questions related to the story? Because, like I said, it's not the open source stories project. It's the open source lessons project, right? I want these to be educational. So if you can think of any good comprehension questions, I'd like to add some to the end of the story. Anyways, just pay attention as we're reading through to see if you can come up with any good questions. Also, pay attention to what you think about this as an educational tool. Do you think I used any language that's too advanced, or do you think I could have done something better to help people learn the language better? Just let me know what you think. All right. So this story is called After It Came, Part 1, Intermediate English. Kyle is a young man about 20 years old. He is walking through the woods with a portable emergency radio. He is listening to a radio broadcast as he walks. Radio broadcaster. When I was a child, my mother used to tell me stories about monsters. I never believed them because I thought all monster stories were fake. But now I believe the stories. Now we all believe the stories because now the stories are real. The police can't find the monster. Let me zoom in a little so you can read it better. The army can't find it. No one can find it. But somehow the monster is still killing people every day. Let's all hope and pray that this monster goes away. But until then, here's some music to pass the time. And then they start playing, you all know the song, right? It's the end of the world as we know it. All right. And that's what Kyle's listening to as he's walking through the woods. Kyle sees Jessica sitting on the ground in the woods. He's confused about why a young woman would be sitting in the woods alone during a national emergency. Hello. Hi. What are you doing here? Hiding. Have you seen the monster? No, I've been hiding here in the woods all day. Have you seen any other people? No, you're the first person I've seen all day. I can't go anywhere because my leg is hurt. Kyle looks at her leg. She has an open wound that is bleeding badly. Your leg looks pretty bad. Maybe I can help. Okay, thanks. He puts he pulls out a cloth from his bag and changes her bandage. I'm going to add a period there. Where do you think the monster came from? Nobody knows. Some people say it came from the sea. Some people say it came from underground. And some even say it came from outer space. Do you think anything can kill it? I don't know. In the stories, some monsters can be killed by a silver bullet. Maybe we can try that. Do you have a gun? No, I guess that won't work. No, probably not. I'm going to close my window really quick because I can hear some loud traffic out there. No, probably not. But in some stories, the monster can be killed if you put a sharp stick through its heart. Here, I was going to say stake, like you know how vampires can be killed with a stake, but I thought stake isn't as useful of a vocabulary word, so I changed it to sharp stick. Sirium said, I would like to help with the Esperanto translation after my exams next month and translate it into Tamil as well. Hey, that would be awesome. I would absolutely love it if you were able to do that. Okay. Sharp stick instead of steak. Anyways, Kyle looks around. We have lots of sticks. Do you have something to sharpen the sticks with? Kyle pulls out a pocket knife. Yeah, I can sharpen sticks with this knife. She shrugs. I think I made the decision recently that I would include periods inside these parentheses. So that's why I'm adding them as we speak. Yeah, okay. All right, Jessica. So, Jessica shrugs. That might help. Kyle picks up 2 long sticks and sharpens them with his pocket knife. Kyle hands one of the sharp sticks to Jessica. Oops. Here you go. Thanks for the help, sir. You're welcome. By the way, what's your name? My name is Jessica. What's yours? My name's Kyle. Nice to meet you. He looks embarrassed. Do you have any food? A little. Here. Jessica pulls some celery and peanut butter out of her backpack and hands it to Kyle. Kyle dips a stalk of celery into the peanut butter and takes a bite. He nods at Jessica. Thanks. Oops, got a period there. If you guys notice any mistakes that I make like this, leaving a period out, please let me know. We want these to be educational, so we want them to be pretty mistake-free. Jessica says, "You're welcome. Well, I better go now. Thanks for sharing your food with me. Stay safe." Thanks for your help, Kyle. Where will you go now? I'm going to look for my brother. He's my only family member left. Where will you go? I can't go anywhere. My leg is hurt too bad. I can't walk on it. You're going to stay here in the woods? There's another error. Jessica nods. Yeah, please let me know if you notice anything. You can also, there's a comment feature up here where you can click on add comment. If you see any mistakes in our stories, you can go straight into the document and leave me some suggestions. It's going to be dark soon. These woods aren't safe at night, especially not with a monster somewhere. She smiles and tries to look brave. At least I have this sharp stick. That's not enough. He thinks for a moment about what to do. Okay, I'll stay with you tonight to keep you safe. Just for one night. Jessica smiles. Okay. All right, and that's the whole story. So let me know what you guys think about part 1 of the story. It's now 3 parts long. There's 2 parts published. Oops, got to plug in my laptop. We have 2 parts published, and I'm going to show you guys. Everyone who's watching this this live stream is going to be the first ones who get to see the 3rd part of the story, because that's not live yet. But I'm going to ask you guys' opinion on it. So there's the first part of the story. Like I said, there is an audio version that goes along with it. It'd be nice if we could add some visuals, like maybe illustrations and some comprehensions at the end here. Let me see if we have any questions. Arturo says, "Saludos desde Montreal." Hola, Arturo. Gracias por comentar. All right. Anyways, next we're gonna get into the Spanish one and the probably the French one, and then Portuguese as well. But I want to keep going through these just so you guys get a feel for the story and what it's like. Okay, so click here to go to part 2. All right, so I read the last one. I think what I'm gonna do here is play the audio version of this just so you guys kind of get a feel for how to do that and what the audio versions are kind of like. I added in a few like little sound effects and stuff just to kind of bring the story to life. That's not really necessary though. Oops. What the heck is going on here? Let's delete that. Not sure what was going on there. Okay, it's morning time in the forest. All right, we're gonna click here to listen to part 2 of the story. All right, let me know if you can hear the story playing well enough. After It Came, Part 2, Intermediate English by Finctum Languages. This audiobook is part of the Finctum Languages open source lessons project. It is morning time in the forest. Rays of sun shine through the leaves and branches and light the forest. Kyle wakes up and rubs his eyes. Jessica is still asleep on the forest floor, holding her sharpened stick. Kyle turns on his emergency radio. The monster is turning people against each other. Just 1 week ago, everyone was happy. We had some problems, but mostly we were all working together to make a better country and a better world. Then this monster came, and now everyone hates each other. We don't know who to trust. People are killing each other. Criminals are running wild in the streets. There is so much blood. This is a world we would have not recognized just 1 week ago. So stay safe out there. Stay hidden. And don't trust anyone. For now, here is a song to pass the time. And there's the Toby Keith song. Jessica wakes up and rubs her eyes. I used to love this song. Me too. How is your leg? Do you think you can walk today? I don't know. Let's look. She removes the bandage from her legs. The wound is turning black and smells terrible. She frowns. That doesn't look good. It looks like your leg is infected. I don't think you should walk on it yet. I have to try. I can't stay in this woods forever. She starts to stand up, but she is shaky and falls down on her backside. No, let's just stay here one more day. Maybe your leg will be better by tomorrow. She is confused. You'll stay with me again? I thought you had to go find your brother. Yes, but he can wait one more day. I can't leave you here wounded in the woods all alone. She smiles. Thanks. Sure. What happens to your leg anyways? You weren't attacked by the monster, were you? No, somehow my house started on fire. He is confused. But your leg was cut, not burned. How did a house fire cut your leg open? No, I didn't cut my leg in the fire. After my house burned down, I had nowhere to stay. It wasn't safe to sleep outside because there were lots of people killing each other in my neighborhood. I tried calling my parents and my sister, but they never answered their phones. For 2 days, I walked around town searching for somewhere to stay. Then I found a house that looked empty, so I went inside. Was the house unlocked? No, it was locked. I had to break a window to get in. Did you cut your leg on the broken window then? No, there was an old man with a kitchen knife inside. He stabbed me in the leg, but I got away. That's when I came here to the woods. I didn't know where else to go. Well, we're probably safer here than we would be in town anyways. She nods. The only problem is that we don't have any food left. We finished the celery and peanut butter last night. I'll go sneak into town and find some food for us. He takes Jessica's backpack and starts walking away. Wait, Kyle. She holds up his sharpened stick. Don't forget to take this. He takes it from her. Good idea. 5 hours later, Kyle returns to the woods. He pulls 2 spoons and 2 cans of beans out of the backpack and hands one to Jessica. He also takes out a bottle of rubbing alcohol and a clean sheet. He starts cutting the sheet into strips. We can use this sheet and this rubbing alcohol to keep your wound clean. Where did you get these? Are the stores still open? No, the stores are closed. I got these from an abandoned house. Was the house unlocked? Yes, it was unlocked and the door was left open. And nobody was inside the house? Well, there was an old man with a kitchen knife. He was lying on the floor, dead. Somebody shot him right next to a broken window. All right. So, as you can see, this story is I think it's a lot more interesting and a lot more intense than most language learning stories that are normally like, Pedro needs to find the library. Pedro asks for directions to the library, right? I wanted to add a little bit of suspense, a little bit of intrigue, just to keep people interested in the story. Okay. So if you're joining now, if you didn't get what's happening in the story, it appears that Kyle went to the same house that Jessica got wounded in, and the guy who wounded her is dead inside the house. So leaves it sort of on a cliffhanger there. Okay, so got a few suggestions here. All right, Sriram says these woods instead of this woods. This woods. Maybe it's just my dialect, but this woods is actually something normal that I would say, but I'm not entirely sure. So I guess I'll ask you guys' opinions. I can certainly change this in the story, but I just like to hear some opinions because this is a community effort. Do you think it should be we are in these woods or we are in this woods? Because to me, woods is a singular entity. But I do think that there is some. I think that's up for debate, though. The other thing is, what else does someone recommend? Okay. Started on fire sounds weird, but I think it was set on fire might be better. Set on fire, started on fire. I think that's more or less the same thing. My house started on fire. My house was set on fire. It was lit on fire. I think you could say any of those, honestly. Okay, Nick says I agree with the set on fire. Okay. How many just let me know if you think I should change it from started on fire to set on fire. Because started on fire sounds normal to me, but also I speak a dialect. Might not necessarily be a standard dialect or the best dialect for people to learn if they're learning English. So yeah, let me know if you think it should be set on fire or started on fire. And if enough people think I should change it, then I'll change it. Okay. So that's the second part of the story. And for those of you who are watching this live stream, you're in luck because there's actually a third part of the story, a third chapter that is not released yet. I'm going to try to release a new chapter every week or so. Don't know if I'll always succeed in that. But there's no audio for this yet, so I'm going to read it myself. This one, like I said, this is not released yet. This is not published. So there's still a lot of leeway to change stuff. It hasn't been translated into any other languages. Nicole Faria says, sorry, but what are you talking about? We're just trying to come up with stories for people who are learning languages, and we're in the process of creating some of these, Nicole. Yeah, so I'm just looking for you guys' input. Can you still see what I'm doing here? Yeah, okay. So I'm just looking for you guys' input about what I should or should not do in these stories, what I should change, and anything like that. Okay, so excuse me. Here's part 3 of After It Came. I don't know how long I'm going to make this series go, but I'm trying to make it interesting just to keep people intrigued in language learning. By the way, this story so far exists in English, French, Spanish, and Portuguese. We had one person, Sriram, offered to translate it into Esperanto when she has a little bit more time next month. Sriram, yeah. So, and I would love to have this in other languages as well. If there's a Thai speaker watching this, I would absolutely love to have it in Thai or Toki Pona. But whatever languages are out there that people feel like you could translate this. All right. So After It Came, part 3. The sun is setting and the forest is filling up with shadows. Kyle and Jessica are holding their jackets tight around themselves and listening to the radio. By the way, just really quick before I go any further, Okay, are we still alive? Sorry, my laptop died. Can you guys see me? Okay. Can you all see me? I think I'm back. Okay. Yeah. Okay, so I got a notification that the battery on my laptop was dying. I am back. Sweet. Okay. Um, I got a notification that my laptop was dying, so I plugged it in. But what I didn't realize is that this part of my laptop was unplugged, so it actually wasn't charging, and it was still dying. So I apologize to those who I freaked out just there. Okay. Anyways, we're reading through the third part of the After It Came series, which, like I said, is exclusive to you guys because it's not published yet. But I want to see if there's any changes that should be made before I publish it. And like I said, I'm going to let me open this window really quick because it's hot in here. I'm going to try to publish a new version of a new chapter of the story every week. Might not always work, but Shuram said, yeah, at least it didn't die in the middle of a story. You're right. Okay, so anyways, before we get back into the third part of this story, I'm going to follow this up by reading the Spanish version, the French version, and the Portuguese version. I'm going to try to read the Portuguese version. So I want to hear from you guys which version would be next. Like, do we have a lot of Spanish speakers in here who would want to listen to the Spanish story? Or do we have some French speakers in here who would like to listen to the French version of the story next? I'm going to try to go through all the translations of this story. I believe the Spanish and the French versions both have been translated, both the first part and the second part. And the Portuguese version the first part of the story has been translated. So let me know what you guys want to hear next. Anyways, let's go back to part 3. Okay. Like I said, this is still very editable, very changeable because it hasn't been posted yet. It hasn't been translated. So if you think I should change anything in here, we can change quite a bit. We have a lot of leeway. All right. The sun is setting and the forest is filled with shadows. Wait, you guys can't see it, can you? Let me share my screen. Oh, Nick says I don't see a part 3 link. Yes, you're right. There is no part 3 link because, like I said, it's not published yet. You know what I'm going to do? Actually, I'm going to share this link specifically with you guys who are watching the stream. You won't be able to find this link anywhere else. And I'm going to give you the option to comment as well. Okay, copy link. Okay. So here, okay, Bartek ZZZ said, just wanted to quickly greet you. Unfortunately, I cannot listen to you today. Take care. Hey, thanks, Bartek. Appreciate all the support. All right. So anyways, like I said, here I'm sharing the link to you guys. Only you guys have this link, the 14 of you who are currently watching. So there's After It Came part 3. If you see anything that you think should be changed, let me know or leave a comment in the doc itself. Okay. The sun is setting and the forest is filling up with shadows. Kyle and Jessica are holding their jackets tight around themselves and listening to the emergency radio. Actually, not. Listening to the radio. Radio broadcaster. This monster has created a lot of chaos in our country. I don't know if chaos is too advanced of a word for the intermediate level, but I think it's fine. Unless you guys think I should change it. Many of us have been driven out of our homes and have nowhere to go. It's autumn now, as the weather is getting cool. Tonight's temperatures will drop to about 40 degrees Fahrenheit. Obviously, when this gets translated, it'll probably get translated into Celsius. Most likely, but I digress. If you have to sleep outside tonight, make sure you have some nice warm clothes and lots of blankets. We're all eagerly awaiting the day when we can go back to our normal lives, just like the monster just like before the monster came. As usual, here's a bit of music to pass the time, and then wake me up before September ends. Wake me up when September ends by Green Day starts to play. I think this is going to be the theme of the play, the story. I'm going to start it off with a radio broadcast and a song that has something to do with the story. All right. Jessica shivers. It's going to be so cold tonight. Kyle nods. I was thinking about starting a fire, but I'm afraid. I wouldn't want the monster to see it and then come find us. Jessica shrugs. I would rather be killed by the monster than freeze to death. At least the monster would do it quickly. The cold weather will kill us slowly. I guess you're right. I can try to build a fire. Do you have any matches? No, I don't. Well, do you have a lighter? Kyle shakes his head. How are you going to make a fire then? I'm going to try to use a technique I saw on TV once. Kyle stands up and walks away. A few minutes later, he walks back with an armful of dead grass and dead leaves. He places them on the ground and then picks up 2 very dry sticks. The guy on TV explained how to make a fire by rubbing 2 sticks together, but it looked really hard. He places one of the sticks between his hands and begins to roll it very quickly, with one end pressed against the other stick. Friction always makes heat, so if I can rub these 2 sticks together fast enough, it will make enough friction to start a fire. Just so you guys are aware, there's absolutely no way this would actually happen in real life. I spent a lot of time learning how to make fires without a match, and it's really difficult unless you have a lot of training. So it's not realistic, but hey, it's just a story. Jessica says, I'm glad you know how to do that. Kyle is concentrating hard on rubbing the sticks together that is concentrating so hard on rubbing the sticks together that he doesn't respond. After a few minutes of rubbing the sticks together, maybe I should delete this because I already said rubbing sticks together earlier. After a few minutes, he starts to sweat and his breathing becomes heavy. A tiny bit of smoke comes from the sticks and a small pile of burnt sawdust. Should this be burnt with a T or burned with an ED? I think burnt, right? A small pile of burnt sawdust begins to form at the point where the sticks are touching. Then one of the sticks breaks and Kyle falls backwards, breathing heavily. That's not going to work. It's too hard. It's making me sweat. I was so close, though. Don't give up so easily. She kneels down by where Kyle had been working and takes a look. Jessica begins to blow very softly on the small pile of sawdust that Kyle created by rubbing the sticks together. It is still smoking. After a few seconds, the sawdust begins to glow orange. Then it lights on fire. Oops, there's a mistake right there. And check for any other comments. Russian, please. Hey, I don't speak Russian, so if you can find someone to translate this into Russian, that would be awesome. I would love to have this story translated into Russian. Lucas Santos says, are you unconsciously talking about COVID in this tale? It's a disaster story, kind of. So I guess it has a lot of similarities with the COVID-19 pandemic. All right. Anyways, okay, so it lights on fire. Looks like we won't freeze to death tonight after all. She starts to put that. I'm going to get rid of tonight. Looks like we won't freeze to death after all. Like I said, this story is still very editable because it has not been published at all. I'm more hesitant to change things after it's been published, unless we find an actual error. All right. She starts to put dead leaves onto the small fire. Kyle helps her build the fire. Good work, Jessica. How did you know how to do that? I don't like this sentence. How did you know how to do that? How did you know about that? How did you know? Maybe just how did you do that? Yeah, I'm just going to say, how did you do that? How did you do that? Jessica says, For a fire to start, it needs a little oxygen. I know oxygen probably isn't actually a it's like essential word for, but I mean, this is the intermediate story, so whatever. For a fire to start, it needs a little oxygen. You created the spark, and I blew it into a flame. Kyle places some more sticks on the fire. We make a good team. She nods. So where will you go after you find your brother? I don't know. I haven't planned that far ahead. Where will you go? While you were away looking for food, the radio broadcaster said that some people believe the monster is afraid of the sea. So I think I might try to go there. That's a long way to walk from here. Yes, but it would be worth it if we can get away from the monster. We? Well, I thought that since you and your brother don't have anywhere else to go, maybe you could come with me. He stares into the fire and nods. A small smile crosses his face. Yeah, maybe. And that's the end of the story as of now. Of course, I'm going to keep adding to this story, probably on a weekly basis. But if you liked it, then stay in touch. Keep coming back. All right. So that's the English version of the story. I'm going to continue with a few other, with like, I'm gonna read the Spanish version and the French version, and even the Portuguese version. So let me know which version you think I should read next. Dueling Champ says, I'm getting serious Bird Box / The Walking Dead vibes from the story. I am also intrigued by the nameless monster. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Well, it's probably a lot of this is inspired because my wife and I had been watching Walking Dead for like the last month. We're on season 6 now. Season 7, actually. So Shriram says, how many parts do you imagine this story having? I don't know. I will keep writing chapters of this story as long as people keep reading them. By the way, I meant to say this earlier. All right, here, I'm gonna show myself just for a second. Okay, so Shriram says français pour moi. Okay, good. We have 1 vote for Spanish, 1 vote for 2 votes for Spanish, 1 for French. All right. So as I know YouTubers say this all the time, please comment with if you like this or not, and then that will inspire me to keep going. All right. It's not like I'm not trying to trick you just into commenting, right? I don't know how many people are reading these stories, and I don't want to waste my time if no one is reading them. Okay. So if you like the stories, please let me know. Leave me a comment. Tell me like, hey, I'm reading these stories. Thanks for this. Keep going. All right. Because it may be the case that nobody's actually reading them. I don't have any way of like seeing how many views or how many reads these stories get. So if you're reading the stories and you like them and you want me to keep going, please let me know. Otherwise, I'm going to start redirecting my efforts towards other things that people actually enjoy. All right. And I know, like I said, I know YouTubers say this all the time. They'll say like, hey, comment below and let me know if I should keep going or not. I mean, like, I'm being very serious. I don't know if I should keep putting effort into this or not. So I know we have, a few people here reading and following along and enjoying the story, which is awesome. And that's actually really encouraging to me. And that's the kind of thing that makes me want to keep putting effort and making more stories. Okay. With that said, we have 2 votes for reading the Spanish one. So that'll be next. And then the French one, I guess will come after that. Okay. So let's keep reading with French. Lucas says, hey, I've been checking the website sometimes. Great. Yeah, great. That's awesome. Okay. Continue reading. All right. So I'm going to click out of all 3, part 1, part 2, part 3. All right. So for those of you who don't know how to get to the stories, Click here. Wait, I have comments in the no, don't have a comment in Discord. All right, you go to here's the library with all the different languages. Here's English. Oh, wait, we're not going to English. We're going to Spanish next. All right, and it's intermediate. Después que vino. And this story has been translated. The first and second version have been translated. Obviously, the third part is not released yet, so it hasn't been translated. Let me get rid of this there. Okay. And then we'll make that centered it again. Okay. Ok, vamos a leer el español. We won in your own game, French. Ok. Ok. Kyle es un hombre joven de 20 años de edad. Está caminando por el bosque con una radio. ¿Una radio? Con una radio de emergencia portátil. Someone let me know if this is right. ¿Una radio? Ok. Está escuchando el programa de radio mientras camina. Transmisión de radio. Cuando era un niño, mi madre solía contarme historias sobre monstruos. Yo nunca creía porque pensaba que todas las historias de monstruos eran falsas. Pero ahora creo en estas historias. Ahora todos creemos en estas historias porque ahora esas historias son reales. La policía no puede hallar al monstruo. Sí, una radio. Ok, gracias. El ejército no puede hallarlo. Nadie puede hallarlo. Pero de alguna manera, el monstruo sigue matando personas cada día. Esperemos todos y recemos para que este monstruo se vaya. Pero hasta entonces, aquí algo de música para pasar el rato. Then It's the End of the World as We Know It comienza a sonar. Kyle ve a Jessica. How would you say that? Jessica, right? Kyle ve a Jessica sentada en el suelo del bosque. Está confundido sobre por qué una mujer joven estaría sentada sola en el bosque durante una emergencia nacional. Sorry, my Spanish is not flowing as freely as it normally does. Hola. ¿Qué estás haciendo aquí? Escondiéndome. ¿Has visto al monstruo? No. He estado escondiéndome aquí en el bosque todo el día. ¿Has visto alguna otra persona? No. Tú eres la primera persona que he visto en todo el día. No puedo ir a ningún lugar porque mi pierna está herida. Kyle mira a su pierna. Ella tiene una herida abierta que se está desangrando. Tu pierna tiene mal aspecto. Quizás puede ayudarte. Okay, Holtra says, I'm looking forward to being able to read the beginner Esperanto stories. Yeah, hey, there's one Esperanto story already up there. You can check it out. All right. Then she says, vale, gracias. Kyle saca un pedazo de tela de su mochila y cambia el vendaje. ¿De dónde crees que el monstruo viene? Nadie sabe. Algunas personas dicen que viene del mar. Algunas dicen que viene de debajo de la tierra. Incluso hay algunos que dicen que viene del espacio exterior. Espacio exterior. Isn't it espacio sideral? That's the phrase that I'm aware with, but I guess this was translated by a native speaker, so I guess I shouldn't second guess. I always heard of espacio sideral. Someone in the comments will yeah, Joltress says, I think the play format is very clever. Right, it makes it easy to always know who's talking, right? That's why I like this for beginner and intermediate stories. All right, so Kyle says, ¿crees que alguien pueda matarlo? No lo sé. En las historias, algunos monstruos pueden ser matados por una bala de plata. Quizás deberíamos tratar eso. ¿Tienes una arma? No. Supongo que no funciona. You know, I'm going to put this in here. Banners. Let's see. After it came, this is after it came. Okay. I'm just going to show that there in case anyone comes in and they're confused about what we're doing. Okay. ¿Tienes un arma? No, supongo que no funcionará. No, probablemente no. Pero en algunas historias, el monstruo puede ser matado si pones un palo afilado en su corazón. Forever Learning French says, Désolé, I just got off work. J'espère que tu vas bien. Oui, merci beaucoup, Rochelle. And if you stick around for just a few minutes, I'm going to start reading the French one after this. Okay. Lucas Santos says, no one said that. Is really presumptuous and poetic. Okay. That makes sense because that's where I learned it. It was from a song, Espacio Sideral. Matados. Did he say matados? Where did they say matado? Algunos monstruos pueden ser matados por una bala. Yeah, matados, right? Because it's algunos monstruos. Okay. Okay. En algunas historias el monstruo puede ser matado si pones un palo afilado en su corazón. And Kyle says, tenemos un montón de palos. ¿Tienes algo para afilar los palos? Sí, puedo afilar los palos con mi navaja. Jessica se encoge. Esto podría ayudar. Kyle agarra dos palos largos y los afila con su navaja de bolsillo. Entrega uno de los palos afilados a Jessica. Aquí tienes. Gracias por su ayuda, señor. No hay de qué. Por cierto, ¿cuál es tu nombre? Mi nombre es Jessica. ¿Cuál es el tuyo? Mi nombre es Kyle. Un placer de conocerte. Why is this? Un placer de conocerte. Luce avergonzado. ¿Tienes algo de comida? Un poco. Aquí. Jessica saca algo de apio. ¿De apio? I'm not familiar with that word. Apio. Es celery. Saca algo de apio y mantequilla de maní de su mochila. Y se lo entrega a Kyle. Kyle moja el tallo de apio en la mantequilla de maní y da una mordida. Gracias. No hay de qué. Bueno, mejor que me voy ahora. Gracias por compartir tu comida conmigo. Cuídate. Gracias por tu ayuda, Kyle. ¿A dónde irás ahora? Iré a buscar a mi hermano. Es el único familiar que me queda. ¿A dónde irás? No puedo ir a ninguna parte. Mi pierna está herida. No puedo caminar con ella. ¿Vas a estar aquí en el bosque? Jessica asiente. Va a oscurecer pronto. Este bosque no es seguro de noche, especialmente no con un monstruo alrededor. Jessica sonríe e intenta lucir valiente. I wasn't familiar with lucir either. Al menos tengo un palo afilado. Eso no es suficiente. Kyle piensa por un momento qué hacer. Vale, estaré aquí esta noche para mantenerte segura. Solo por esta noche. All right. And then Jessica sonríe. Vale. Then click here for part 2 of the story. Wait, this should be size 11, I think. Nope, never mind. I made a size 12 on purpose. All right, that's part 1 of the story. I'm doing Spanish now, and I'll do French next. Después de que vino, segunda parte. All right, and this was translated by Protein Links. I don't know if that's actually how you pronounce it, Protein Links. Entonces, muchas gracias, Protein Links. Ok. Mañana en el bosque, los rayos del sol brillan a través de las hojas y ramas y alumbran el bosque. Kyle se levanta y se frota los ojos. Jessica está aún dormida en el suelo del bosque, arraigando su palo afilado. Kyle prende la radio de emergencia. El monstruo está volviendo a la gente hostil entre sí. Solo hace una semana todos éramos felices. Teníamos algunos problemas, pero sobre todo, todos estábamos trabajando juntos para un mejor país y un mejor mundo. Entonces el monstruo vino y ahora todos nos odiamos el uno al otro. No sabemos en quién confiar. La gente se está matando entre ellos. Los criminales andan descontrolados en las calles. Hay mucha sangre. Este es un mundo que no hubiéramos reconocido hace una semana. Así que cuídense afuera. Manténganse escondidos y no confíen en nadie. Por ahora, aquí hay una canción para pasar el rato. Beer for My Horses por Toby Keith comienza a sonar. Jessica se levanta y se frota los ojos. Solía amar esta canción. Yo también. ¿Cómo está tu pierna? ¿Crees que puedes caminar hoy día? No lo sé. Vamos a ver. Remueve el vendaje de su pierna. La herida se está tornando negra y huele terrible. Frunce el ceño. Esto no luce bien. Parece que tu pierna está infectada. No creo que deberías caminar todavía. Jessica, necesito tratar. No puedo estar para siempre en el bosque. Comienza a pararse, pero está un poco temblorosa y cae sobre su parte trasera. No, vamos a estar aquí un día más. Quizás tu pierna estará mejor mañana. Jessica está confundida. ¿Estarás aquí conmigo de nuevo? Pensaba que tenías que encontrar a tu hermano. Sí, pero puedo esperar un día más. No puedo dejarte aquí herida en el bosque completamente sola. Jessica sonríe. Gracias. Ok. Claro. ¿Qué pasó con tu pierna de todas maneras? ¿No fuiste atacada? Oh, I should zoom in so you guys can read better, huh? ¿No fuiste atacada por el monstruo? ¿O sí? No, de alguna manera mi casa comenzó a incendiarse. Kyle está confundido, pero tu pierna fue cortada, no quemada. ¿Cómo un incendio cortó tu pierna? No, no me corté la pierna en un incendio. En un incendio. Después de que mi casa se quemó, no tenía dónde estar. No era seguro dormir afuera, porque había varias personas matándose entre ellas en mi vecindario. Traté, that should be shouldn't that be trate? Yeah, trate, right? Someone can answer that in the, um, in the comments. Traté de llamar a mis padres y hermana, pero nunca respondieron sus teléfonos. Por 2 días caminé. That should also be caminé, right? Por 2 días caminé. Someone's right there. Entre sí. Entre sí. ¿Así? ¿Verdad? Okay. So this should be traté, right? Wait, entre sí. Entre sí. ¿Así? All right. Traté de llamar. I'm going to change that to traté because I think that's what it's supposed to be, right? Someone will correct me if I change it, if I change it and it's not correct. Traté. Ay, ¿qué pasa? Ok, traté de llamar. 2 días caminé. Ok. Entonces, seguimos. Cuando dijeron entre es entre sí. Entonces encontrar. Oye, entre sí. Oh. Okay. I wasn't at this part in the story yet, Lucas, and I really wasn't listening. Okay. Okay, entré. Okay. Sí, ahora entiendo. Bueno. Okay. Traté de llamar a mis padres. So this is correct, right? Traté, caminé y entré. Okay. Traté de llamar a mis padres y hermana, pero nunca respondieron sus teléfonos. Por 2 días caminé por la ciudad buscando un lugar donde estar. Entonces encontré una casa vacía y entré. ¿Estaba la casa abierta? No, estaba bloqueada. That's correct, tuve que romper la ventana para entrar. ¿Así que te cortaste la pierna con la ventana? No, había un hombre con un cuchillo de cocina adentro. Me apuñaló. ¿Me apuñaló? Me apuñaló, ¿verdad? Me apuñaló en la pierna, pero logré escaparme. Ahí es cuando llegué aquí en el bosque. No sabía a dónde más ir. I'm going to change that to me apuñaló. Right? Someone correct me if I'm about to change this to something wrong. Me apuñaló. Ok. Ay, ¿qué pasa? No sabía a dónde más ir. De todas maneras, probablemente estamos más seguros aquí en la ciudad. Y así, ahí, yo hice un error. Ok. Jessica asiente. El único problema es que no tenemos comida restante. Hemos acabado el apio y la mantequilla de maní. Me escabulliré. I'm not sure why it's... okay. Me escabulliré en la ciudad para hallar algo de comida para nosotros. Toma la mochila de Jessica y comienza a caminar. This woods doesn't sound right to... Oh, apuñaló. Yeah, okay. All right. Sorry, Joel Trest. It looks like you're way behind in the stream. So I think I answered your questions, but it might seem like I totally ignored your questions for quite a while until you catch up to the part that we're actually at now. I know my stream is lagging, so it's not your fault. It's just the nature of live streaming. Okay, Jessica says, espera, Kyle. Sostiene su palo afilado. No te olvides llevar esto. Lo toma de ella. Buena idea. 5 horas después, Kyle retorna al bosque. Saca 2 cucharas y 2 latas de frijoles de su mochila y se las entrega a Jessica. También saca una botella de alcohol desinfectante. Originally, I was going to call it hydrogen peroxide, but then I figured, alcohol, like rubbing alcohol, isopropyl alcohol is probably like a more important term for people to learn. Okay. Alcohol desinfectante y una sábana limpia. Comienza a cortar la sábana en tiras. Podemos usar esta sábana y este alcohol desinfectante para mantener tu herida limpia. ¿Dónde conseguiste esto? Las tiendas están aún abiertas. ¿Las tiendas están aún abiertas? No te olvides. No te olvides de llevar eso. Ok, Lucas es de llevar eso. Esto. Ok, bien. ¿Dónde conseguiste esto? ¿Las tiendas están aún abiertas? No. Oh, mistake there too. No, las tiendas están cerradas. Conseguí esto de una casa abandonada. ¿La casa estaba abierta? Sí, estaba abierta y la puerta también lo estaba. Jessica dice, ¿y no había nadie en la casa? Bueno, había un hombre viejo con un cuchillo de cocina. estaba recostado en la cocina, muerto. Alguien le disparó al lado de una ventana rota. Entonces, probablemente es el mismo hombre que cortó a Jessica, creo. Okay. And that's the end of the Spanish version of the story. I haven't had many other suggestions for the third part of the story. We don't have a Spanish translation of this third part yet because it hasn't been published, but I feel fairly confident now that I can go ahead and do that. So I'm going to move this to open source language lessons, English, intermediate, and we now have a third part published. So anyone can now go on and see the third part of the story. In fact, what I'm going to do is open source lessons, English, intermediate. Okay, we're going to share this. Oops. Share. So anyone can comment. We're going to copy that link. We're going to go to the second part of the story and say, to continue reading with part 3, click, we'll include a link here. All right, so now if you finish reading part 2, you can continue immediately on to part 3 of the story. Yeah, I'll keep that as size 11. Okay. Lucas says, OMG, Jessica is an assassin, but you wrote it. All right, we'll keep going. That's the end. There's are no more Spanish parts yet. Today I'll probably post and see if someone can translate it into translate the third part into Spanish. But as of now, that's where it rests, and I promised I would read the French version. So let's see. Do I still have some French speakers on here, or did you all leave the chat as soon as I started reading in Spanish? Okay, I'm going to call this Après son arrivée, part 1. Let me know if you're a French speaker and you're still here in the chat, or if you can at least understand some French. I'd love to just see how many of you there are here. Okay. By the way, like I said, you can always leave comments up here by going to the Google Doc and clicking Add Comment. I don't allow just anyone to edit the stories, but anyone can comment. Okay. Après son arrivée, première partie. All right, and it's going to take me a little bit more effort to read in French, especially since I really got to pee now. Okay. Kyle est un jeune homme d'une vingtaine d'années. Il est en train de marcher dans la forêt avec une radio d'urgence portable. Il écoute une émission de radio en marchant, animateur radio. Quand j'étais petit, ma mère me racontait des histoires avec des monstres. Je n'y croyais jamais, car j'ai toujours pensé que les histoires de monstres étaient fausses. Mais maintenant, je crois à ces histoires. Maintenant, nous croyons tous à ces histoires. Parce que maintenant, ces histoires sont vraies. La police n'arrive pas à trouver le monstre. L'armée n'arrive pas à trouver le monstre. Personne n'arrive à le trouver. Et pourtant, le monstre continue de tuer des gens tous les jours. Espérons et prions ensemble pour que ce monstre s'en aille. Mais d'ici là, voici un peu de musique pour faire passer le temps. On entend jouer It's the End of the World as We Know It. Forever Learning French and Tara Gray are still here. She says, Je suis encore là. Merci beaucoup, Rochelle. OK. Kyle voit Jessica assise par terre dans la forêt. Il se demande pourquoi une jeune femme se retrouve assise dans les bois pendant une situation d'urgence nationale. Bonjour. Bonjour. Qu'est-ce que vous faites ici? Je me cache. Vous avez vu le monstre? Non, je suis... Non, je suis resté caché ici dans la forêt toute la journée. Vous avez vu des gens passer? Non, vous êtes la première personne que je vois de toute la journée. Je ne peux pas bouger à cause de ma jambe blessée. Kyle regarde sa jambe. Elle a une plaie ouverte du coule beaucoup de sang. Votre jambe est dans un sale état. Je peux peut-être vous aider. D'accord, merci. Il sort un bout de tissu de son sac et change son bandage. Est-ce que vous avez une idée d'où vient le monstre? Personne ne sait. Certains disent qu'il vient de la mer, d'autres disent qu'il vient de sous la terre, et d'autres disent même qu'il vient de l'espace. Vous pensez qu'il existe un objet qui puisse le tuer? Je ne sais pas. Dans les histoires, certains monstres peuvent être tués si on leur tire dessus et que la balle est en argent. On pourrait essayer ça. Vous avez un pistolet? Non, ce n'était pas une très bonne idée. Non, pas vraiment. Mais dans certaines histoires, le monstre peut être tué si on transperce son cœur avec une pieu. I wasn't familiar with this word before. Un pieu. Is that how you pronounce it? Un pieu? Okay, Forever Learning French says, cependant, je ne peux pas te corriger. Je ne suis qu'un débutant. Ouais, ça va. Et j'espère que cette histoire peut t'aider à apprendre le français. All right. Kyle regarde autour de lui. On a plein de bois. Vous avez quelque chose pour aiguiser les bouts de bois? Kyle, actually, I'm going to change this back to lowercase r because it looks like that's been the trend. Okay. Sorte un canif. Oui, je peux aiguiser les bouts de bois avec ce couteau. Jessica hausse les épaules. Ça pourrait marcher. Kyle ramasse 2 grands bâtons et les aiguise avec son canif. Kyle tend un des bâtons aiguisés à Jessica. Prenez-le. Merci pour votre aide, monsieur. De rien. Au fait, comment vous appelez-vous? Je m'appelle Jessica. Et vous? Je m'appelle Kyle. Enchanté. Prends un air gêné. Est-ce que tu as à manger? Un peu. Tiens. Jessica sort du céleri et du beurre de cacahuète pour son sac à dos et l'offre à Kyle. Kyle trempe une branche de céleri dans le beurre de cacahuète et croque dedans. Kyle hoche la tête en regardant Jessica. Merci. I definitely know that's supposed to have a period. Merci. De rien. Bon, je ferais bien d'y aller maintenant. Merci de m'avoir donné un peu de la nourriture. Sois prudente. Merci pour ton aide, Kyle. Où est-ce que tu vas maintenant? Je vais chercher mon frère. C'est tout ce qu'il me reste de ma famille. Où est-ce que tu vas aller? Je ne peux pas aller nulle part. Ma jambe me fait trop mal. Je ne peux pas marcher. Tu vas rester dans le bois? Jessica acquiesce. Il va bientôt faire nuit. Cette forêt est dangereuse la nuit, en particulier avec une monstre en liberté. Jessica sourit et essaie de prendre un air assuré. Au moins, j'ai ce bâton tranchant. Ça ne suffit pas. Kyle réfléchit. Sorry, my French reading is very subpar today. My throat is kind of dry. Let's see if that helps. Okay. Kyle réfléchit un moment à ce qu'il doit faire. Réfléchis. Is this in the present tense? Or is that passé simple? I'd like to keep it in the souris. I'd like to keep it in present tense if we can. Hoche la tête. Ton os sort. It looks like everything else is in present tense. Okay. All right. Réfléchis un moment à ce qu'il doit faire. OK, je vais rester avec toi ce soir pour te protéger, juste pour cette nuit. D'accord? Mais je souris. D'accord. All right. That's second part of the French version. Whew, I think I underestimated how much I would struggle for reading French for the first time in a while. Okay, that's the first part of the French translation. If anyone has any suggestions or anything. Tara Gray says, très bon. And Forever Learning French says, cependant, je ne... Oh, yeah. Oh, I already read all of those. Okay. Anyways, cliquez ici pour accéder à la première partie. All right. Second part. C'est le matin dans la forêt. C'est le matin dans la forêt. À travers les feuilles et les branches, les rayons du soleil illuminent la forêt. Kyle se réveille et se frotte les yeux. Jessica est toujours en train de dormir par terre, en tenant son bâton aiguisé. Kyle allume sa radio d'urgence. Le monstre monte les gens les uns contre les autres. I'm not familiar with this word here. Le monstre monte les gens les uns contre les autres. Il y a tout juste une semaine, tout le monde était heureux. Nous avons rencontré des problèmes, mais d'une manière générale, nous travaillons ensemble pour améliorer notre pays et le monde. Mais le monstre est arrivé et maintenant tout le monde se déteste. On ne sait plus à qui faire confiance. Les gens s'entretuent. Les criminels courent en liberté dans les rues. Il y a tellement de sang. C'est un monde que nous n'aurions pas reconnu il y a une semaine seulement. Donc, soyez prudents, restez cachés et ne faites confiance à personne. Et maintenant, une chanson pour faire passer le temps. On entend Beer for My Horses de Toby Keith. Jessica se réveille et se frotte les yeux. J'adorais cette chanson autrefois. Moi aussi. Comment va ta jambe? Tu penses pouvoir marcher aujourd'hui? Je ne sais pas. On va voir. Elle enlève le pansement de sa jambe. La blessure prend une couleur noire et sent très mauvais. Elle fronce les sourcils. I'm getting tired of reading French, I think. I don't remember that word. Ce n'est pas joli à voir. On dirait que la plaie est infectée. À mon avis, tu ne devrais pas encore marcher. Je dois essayer. Je ne peux pas rester éternellement dans ce bois. Elle commence à se lever, mais elle perd son équilibre et tombe en arrière. Non, restons ici un jour de plus seulement. Ta jambe ira peut-être mieux d'ici demain. Jessica prend un air confus. Tu vas de nouveau rester avec moi? Je croyais que tu devais aller chercher ton frère. Oui, mais il peut attendre un jour de plus. Je ne peux pas te laisser ici toute seule dans le bois alors que tu es blessée. Jessica sourit. Merci. De rien. Qu'est-il arrivé à ta jambe au fait? Tu n'as pas été attaqué par le monstre, n'est-ce pas? Non, je ne sais pas comment ma maison a pris feu. Kyle prend un air confus. mais il s'agit d'une coupure et non d'une brûlure. Oh man. Comment une maison en feu a pu te couper à la jambe? Non, je ne me suis pas coupé la jambe dans l'incendie. Après que ma maison a été réduite en cendres, euh, je n'avais nulle part où aller. Ce n'était pas prudent de dormir dehors à cause de toutes les personnes qui ont tué d'autres dans ma quartier. J'ai essayé d'appeler mes parents et ma sœur, mais ils n'ont jamais répondu à leur téléphone. Pendant 2 heures, j'ai marché dans la ville à la recherche d'un endroit où rester. C'est alors que j'ai trouvé une maison qui avait l'air vide, donc je suis rentré dedans. La porte d'entrée n'était pas verrouillée. Si elle était verrouillée, j'ai dû casser une fenêtre pour rentrer. Est-ce que tu t'es coupé la jambe avec des débris de verre là? Non. Il y avait une vieille homme à l'intérieur qui tenait un couteau de cuisine. Il m'a poignardé dans la jambe, mais j'ai pu m'enfuir. C'est alors que je suis arrivé ici dans la forêt. Je ne savais pas où aller. De toute façon, on est probablement plus en sécurité ici que dans la ville. Jessica, elle acquiesce. Le seul problème, c'est qu'on n'a plus rien à manger. On a fini le céleri et le beurre de cacahuète hier soir. Kyle, je vais aller me faufiler dans la ville pour nous trouver un peu de nourriture. Il prend le sac à dos de Jessica et commence à s'éloigner. Attends, Kyle! Elle brandit son bâton pointu. N'oubliez pas ça. Il prend ce bâton. Bonne idée. 5 heures plus tard, Kyle retourne dans la forêt. Il sort du cuillère et du boîte de conserve d'haricots du sac à dos et en donne une à Jessica. Il sort aussi une bouteille d'alcool à friction et une compresse propre. All right. So now we're getting to the part of the story where I have to pee so bad, I'm just going to go. So I'm just going to change this really quick to say. There we go. I was trying to rush through the story, but I'm just going to go right now. Be back in a minute. All right. I did wash my hands. Okay. So sorry about that. All right. I was just like trying to rush my reading and I was stumbling over all my words and I was already struggling to read French. Okay. Where are we? Okay, so Kyle and Jessica. Okay, so Kyle comes back. He goes to look for food and then he comes back. Right. 5 heures plus tard, Kyle retourne dans la forêt. Il sort 2 cuillères et 2 boîtes de conserve d'haricots du sac à dos et en donne une à Jessica. Il sort aussi une bouteille d'alcool à friction et une compresse propre. Kyle commence à découper la compresse en bandes. Excuse me. On peut utiliser la compresse et l'alcool pour nettoyer ta blessure. Jessica dit où est-ce que tu les as trouvés? Est-ce que les magasins sont encore ouverts? Non, les magasins sont fermés. Je les ai récupérés dans une maison abandonnée. Sorry, I don't know why I put the stress on the first part of that word. La porte n'était pas fermée à clé. Nick says, nous saluons le retour. Welcome back. Merci beaucoup, Nick. OK, Jessica dit, la porte n'était pas fermée à clé? Non, elle n'était pas fermée à clé et elle était entre-ouverte. Et personne n'était dans la maison. Bien, il était un vieux homme qui tenait un couteau de cuisine. Son cadavre était entendu sur le sol. Quelqu'un lui a tiré dessus, juste à côté de la fenêtre cassée. Cliffhanger. But like I said, the next portion of the story hasn't been translated, but it is now public, and anyone who feels confident to translate the third part of the story can do so. So, like I said, this project is open source. It's open to anyone who can translate, anyone who can write original stories, anyone who can proofread one of these stories, narrators, illustrators, videographers, anything that you can do that you think will be able to contribute to the what would you say contributes to the success of this story will be really nice. We're language learners and we should help each other succeed. So that's the French version of the story. And I've been going now for, gosh, how long has this stream been going? An hour and 20 minutes, but all right. I promised I would read this story in 4 languages. I've already read it in English, Spanish, French, and the only other version that this story currently exists in is Portuguese, which I don't speak, but I'm going to try. Okay, Forever Learning French says, merci d'avoir lu. De rien. Bienvenue, as they say in Quebec. Okay, Shriram says, question about translating the lessons. If you're translating into a diglossic language, which register should you use? I suppose you should use whichever, like, for example, here in the, in the French version, let me see how she translated it. Okay, so you open it up and they are vous voyez, right? They are they're using vous, right? On va voir. Oh, that's the second part. Okay, let's take a look at what the translator used. Right? Vous avez vu des gens, right? She's using vous. That's formal because they just met. Are they still using vous towards the end here? Right? Like if you're it's up to the translator to figure out what. Okay. What register to use? La part. J'ai dû. 2. Yeah. Okay. See, right. Already in the second chapter, they're already they're tutoying, right? They're already using 2. So that was a decision by the translator. Servan, who has done an excellent job, been very helpful in translating the French versions of this story, made the decision of when they should start to use tu instead of vous, right? And like that's not something that I, as the original writer, can tell people who are going through the story. That's up to the translator, right? Because it's going to be different for every language. Okay, so anyways, that's the French version. We also have, this is going to be a bit of a treat for anyone who speaks Portuguese. Or maybe you're going to hate me. I'm not quite sure. But I guarantee I'm going to destroy the Portuguese language as I read through this. But I am going to make an attempt. Fortunately, this only exists in one part while I'm trying to read it. But I would love for this for part 2 of this to exist afterwards. Okay. All right. Anyone who knows Portuguese is going to laugh at me. Depois que ele veio. Kyle é joven homem de cerca de 20 anos. I don't know how to say 20, so I'm just going to say 20 anos de idade. Ele está caminhando pela floresta com rápido portátil de emergência. Ele está escutando uma transmissão na rádio enquanto caminha. I guarantee I'm like trying to put on a Portuguese accent and I guarantee it's so bad. Quando eu era uma criança, minha mãe costumava me contar sobre monstros. Eu nunca acreditia nelas. Porque eu pensei que todas as histórias de monstros eram falsas. Mas agora eu acredito nas histórias. Agora todos nós acreditamos nas histórias, porque agora as histórias são reais. A polícia não consegue encontrar o monstro. O exército não conseguia encontrar. Ninguém consegue encontrá-lo, mas de alguma forma o monstro ainda está matando pessoas todos os dias. Vamos todos torcer e rezar para que esse monstro vá embora. Mas até lá, aqui está uma música para passar o tempo. Someone over here is laughing at. Jolta says, it's inappropriate that you're butchering a horror. It's appropriate that you're butchering a horror story. Thanks. Oh, man. I don't know if Portuguese speakers would laugh at my accent or be offended. I hope it's the first one. The end of the world as we know it. O fim do mundo como começa a tocar. Kyle vê Jessica sentada no chão da floresta. Sentado no chão de floresta. Oh, I think that's probably a mistake, right? Sentado no chão da floresta. I'm going to put this in. That has to be a mistake. I'm just going to delete it. Kyle vê Jessica sentada no chão da floresta. Ela está confuso sobre por que uma jovem estaria sentada na floresta sozinha durante uma emergência nacional. Olá, oi, o que você está fazendo aqui? Me escondendo? Você viu o monstro? Não, eu estive escondida aqui na floresta o dia todo. Você viu alguma outra pessoa? Oh, man. Everyone's probably laughing at it. It's okay. Não, você é a primeira pessoa que eu vejo o dia todo. Não posso ir a lugar nenhum porque minha perna está machucada. I'm trying to do like an accent like when I listen to people speak Portuguese. Here's some feedback. J and H before E and I are read like in French. Okay. Okay. Good to know. I'm learning Portuguese as we go. Okay. Obrigado. Ele puxa pano de sua bolsa e troca o curvativo. De onde você acha que veio o monstro? Ninguém sabe. Algumas pessoas dizem que veio do mar. Okay, for those who are just joining in now, I said that I would read the story in 4 languages, and I'm trying with 100% full knowledge that I'm not even coming close to reading the Portuguese version correctly. But it wasn't clickbait. I am actually going through and reading the story in 4 languages. Okay. Você acha que alguma coisa pode matá-lo? Eu não sei. Nas histórias, alguns monstros podem ser mortos por uma bala de prata. Talvez possamos ter isso. Você tem uma arma? Não, acho que não funcionaria. Não. Provavelmente não. Mas em algumas histórias o monstro pode ser matado se você enfiar uma vara afilada em seu coração. Ela olha em volta. Temos muitas gravetos. Você tem algo para afiar os gravetos? I'm learning a lot of Portuguese words. Ela tira gabinete. Sim, posso afiar gavetos com esta faça. Como essa faça. In Portuguese, do you put the stress at the end of a word or in the middle of the word, or what do you do with the accent, with the stress? Okay. Ela encolhe. Why is this? No, that's probably not right. This is correct, right? Ela encolhe os hombros. Isso pode ayudar. I'm going to put a period there because I'm assuming that's probably a mistake. Kyle pega 2 pastões longos e os afia com seu canivete. Ele entrega uma das varas afiadas para Jessica. Right? Jessica. That's what Daniel was saying. Jessica. Aqui está, Jessica. Obrigado pela ajuda, senhor. Ayuda, senhor. Wait. Yeah. I don't know. Ayuda. Pela. De nada. Right? A propósito, qual é o seu nome? Meu nome é Jessica. Qual é o seu? Meu nome é Kyle. Prazer em conhecê-lo. Joltres says, this is what language learning is all about, stepping out of your comfort zone. Kudos. Thank you. Yeah, I'm doing my best. Ele parece envergonhado. Você tem comida? Puso aqui. Jessica puxa puzo de aipo e manteiga de amendoim de sua mochila e entrega para Kyle. Kyle mergulha talo de aipo na manteiga de talo de aipo na manteiga de amendoim e dá uma mordida. Ele acena para Jessica. Obrigado. De nada. Is it de nada or de nada? De nada. Bem, é melhor eu ir agora. Obrigado por compartilhar sua comida comigo. Fique segura. Obrigado por sua ajuda, Kyle. Para onde você vai agora? Vou procurar meu irmão. Ele é meu único membro da família restante. Onde você irá? Eu não posso ir a lugar nenhum. Minha perna está muito machucada. Eu não posso andar sobre ela. Você vai ficar aqui na floresta? Jessica afirma com a cabeça. Vai escurecer. Wait, is this dark? Vai escurecer em breve. Essas florestas não são seguras à noite, especialmente não como um monstro em algum lugar. Jessica sorri e tenta parecer corajosa. I don't know how to say that. Corajosa, I guess. Pelo menos eu tenho este bastão afilado. Pelo menos eu tenho esse bastão afilado. Isso não é suficiente. Ele pensa por um momento sobre o que fazer. Ok, vou ficar com você esta noite para mantê-la segura. Só por uma noite. Bon. Forever Learning French. Je suis fier de toi. Merci, Rachel. Só por uma noite. Ela sorri. Okay. Man, that was hard. Yeah, and there's actually no second part to this yet. But if you speak Portuguese and you want to translate the second part, and is now the third part of the story, that would be excellent. So there's me reading the same story in 4 languages. I would be really grateful if any of you guys decided you wanted to help join in, help translate the story into more languages. You could do narrations and voiceovers like I did. You know, if you watched the second part of this, I just played for you the narration of it. Serum says, Tre bona, I don't think I would have done this half as well as you have. I'm pretty sure I didn't do it half well at all, but I gave it an attempt, and that's what it's all about. Maybe I'll do some more. That was kind of fun, actually. I'm too tired to do it right now. I've been reading Spanish and French and now Portuguese. Me reading Portuguese, right? But maybe in the future I'll do another reading in Portuguese. It was kind of fun. I'll let all the Portuguese speakers make fun of me. Okay, so I don't have a whole lot else to say. Thanks to everyone who joined. Thanks to everyone who's helped contribute to make this project possible. You guys have put in a lot of work and a lot of effort. Please let me know if you're enjoying these stories, and if you, if it'll be worth it for me to continue putting effort into the stories, or if my time and energy would be better spent somewhere else. Because like I said, I don't have any metrics to know if anyone's reading these stories at all, which is fine. I'm not guilting people if you're not interested in the stories, but I want to know. That's all I got to say about that, I guess. JK says, love your videos, Forever Learning French. That's nice. Okay, Joltress says, pretty sure it's a hard D in de nada from the Little Portuguese. I know. Yeah, I was thinking that because someone, I know they say like bom dia, right? But that's usually before an I or an E. So I didn't really know what to do there, and I just went for it, which is, I guess, what you normally do in language learning. Okay, anyways, I think I have overstayed my ability to live stream. But I will be back next Friday at 10:30 a.m. Central Standard Time with renewed energy to do another hour and a half, 2-hour live stream, whatever it is. I'll see you guys then. Peace out.